Welcome to Triangle BNI. Today's show is brought to you by Simply Done Concierge. All right, folks, we're middle of November, which means we got holidays coming up, which means your to-do list just grows every hour. The team at Simply Done Concierge can help you get things done, can help you be in two or three places at once. So go to simplydoneconcierge.com. Let them know what you're looking for, what help you need over the holidays. They'll bring a professional team out there to help you, and you can be even more productive, and all your friends and family will be very impressed. So go to simplydoneconcierge.com. Hi, everybody. My name is Mike Manning. Each week on Triangle BNI, we bring you a local small business success story. If you are not familiar with BNI, it is Business Networking International, the world's largest networking organization. Our little slice of heaven here in the Triangle, Raleigh, Durham, Chapel Hill, and the surrounding towns. Each week, 33 chapters meet, almost 600 members. Our goal is to help each other grow our businesses. And our local small business success story today is Eric Faison with Patriot Supplies, LLC. He does conceal and carry classes. He sells ammunition. We'll get to that in a second. He is a member of the Smithfield Strategy Group, BNI group. They meet 8:15 on Tuesday mornings at the BIA building in Smithfield. Eric, good morning. How you doing today?
Good morning, Mike. How are you? I'm doing
Good,
great.
good. Glad to have you on here. We're going to talk, folks. Just want to tell everybody up front. Eric does conceal and carry classes, so we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about ammunition. We're going to talk about safety and training. None of these are political statements. I'm not telling you what to do, what not to do. Just bringing on another successful small business owner in case this is something you're interested in, and he's got a good backstory. So, all right, Eric, conceal and carry. A
Yes,
lot of
sir.
this stuff, it's a hot button. It's a
It
hot button,
really
and I
is.
know you get in the middle of discussions, people for it, people against it. But what are some, I think tomorrow you are the speaker at your chapter meeting, correct?
Yes, sir. Yes,
All
sir.
right. And I know you promoted the conceal and carry do's and don'ts.
Yes, sir.
So let's start with that. What are the do's and don'ts of being safe and being educated in that world?
So, Mike, first and foremost, I believe that everyone needs to have proper training. We all have family members, and there's definitely nothing wrong with our family members. But, I have family members as well, and some of them act as doctors. None of them have been to school to be a doctor. So I can only take that understanding or that advice so far. I would say the same thing with any type of firearm training and safety. Go to an expert, um, get the correct understanding.
Yeah, because if you're going to buy it, you need to know how to use it. Hopefully you
Yes,
never will need to, but you've got to know that, and I'm with you. I wish more people would be educated on when and how and questions like that.
yes, yes. Because statistics show, Mike, that more individuals that have not taken any type of training have accidental shootings,
Mm.
and it's just it just kind of comes along with the territory. If you're untrained in a certain area, there can be hiccups in that area.
Do more people come to you because something has happened to them, or they want to be prepared for if something does happen to them?
Most of my students have been victims of some type of um, issue or concern. So most of them come out of a fear of something else happening.
And males versus females?
Um, I've actually had about half and half. And the reason why I say that is because I also run ladies only
Mm.
classes. So um, I've had a really, really big mixture of both. Uh, but I get more clients whenever I do a ladies only class.
Younger versus older that come to you. How does that break down?
I would say middle age,
Okay.
middle age. Yes,
Okay.
sir.
Um, the and it's interesting talking with some other folks that do what you do. They, and I know, let me see if I say this right. Early on, many things were made for males.
Yes.
Clothes, shoe, I mean, all that stuff, right? And then eventually, hey, we gotta start making it for women and kids and stuff like that. And so a lot of the initial, handguns, how you carry them, where you carry them, were made for
Yes.
men, and for women, it's completely different.
Yes, it is. It's totally different. I must say, out of the majority of the classes that I've had, Mike, women have outshot the men every single time. And I believe it's because men are so it's their nature to just conquer everything and just do it. The ladies, on the other hand, they really pay attention, and they have their posture right. Uh, they look for their sight picture. They have a better understanding on how it actually works once I explain it to them, and they get on the range and they outshoot the guys hands down, hands down.
Yeah, because I think most guys, and I think we can pick on our kind, the male kind, they just want, yeah, did you see the size of the hole I blew in the
Yeah,
sheet there? But it was on their seventh shot. Whereas women want to, and no surprise, my wife would do she would, has done the exact same thing. The process. Tell me how
yes,
I get to
yes,
that point so I understand how it works. So no
yes.
surprise. But yeah, guys, we're not, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Now, how did you get into this?
So years ago, um, I'll kind of start with the ammunition side of it. Years ago, my wife and I, we love to shoot, and we just happened to go to a certain store. I won't name it. We would go to a certain store, and they were out of 9 millimeter bullets. And I was like, well, that's crazy. So I spoke to a sales associate, and they said we didn't have any to come in on the truck. So I went to another store. And then that's whenever I found out that there was a shortage. And this was the latter part of 2019. So I started thinking about it. I was like, man, I got to find some bullets. What's going on with this shortage thing? And this was well before COVID. Uh, COVID happened around March, or really affected us around March. So I went to another store um, in a very small town, and they had a ton of it. And I said, well, how much is it? They gave me the price. The guy said, well, it's $11 a box. I said, okay, give me a couple boxes. And then I started talking to some friends at work, and they said, man, it's like $50 a box. So I went back to that store, and I asked the guy, I said, man, what do you have in stock? And he told me. I said, I'll buy every bit of it. I said, when's your next truck coming? And he told me, and I was there that morning. And again, I bought every bit of it. And I had told the guys that I knew, I said, hey, man, if you guys are paying $50 for it, I can get you some for 45. That's a
Yeah.
pretty good deal. And it was, I mean, I did that for a few months. Well, the store that I had went to, they were a couple months behind in knowledge of knowing about the or realizing that it was due to COVID. So I started there, and I was like, man, this thing is just going crazy. I made a ton of money in just a couple months, and I said, well, I'm going full time. I'm just gonna start looking for different suppliers, different vendors that I can pull from. And right now, I have about 47 different suppliers that I pull ammunition from.
Wow. What were you
Yeah.
doing before this?
So I worked at Caterpillar right here in Clayton, North Carolina for 24 and a half years. And it was almost to the point to where it cost me money to go to work. So I, I left there last October, a year ago, and I started doing my business full time.
Are
So I
you
did it.
good?
I did it, part time for uh, about 2 years, and then that last year I just went full time.
Are you checked out on driving a lot of big heavy equipment that Caterpillar leases and sells?
Yes, I was actually in human resources for about 11 years as a trainer.
And what were some of your favorite pieces of equipment to learn to drive?
Oh man, the small wheel loader by far.
I don't know what that is.
So some call it a front end loader.
Oh, yeah.
Um, big rubber tires with
Yep.
one big bucket on the front. It's about 12 and a half, 13 feet tall.
Nice.
Yeah,
Were
yeah.
you able to drive that or drive any of those on job sites anywhere?
No, not on job sites. We
Okay.
actually had our own demo area. So at the Clayton facility, that is uh, where most dealers come to get a better understanding on most of the machines.
Uh,
And we had a development center there on site.
my 5-year-old grandson loves excavators,
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
and his mom grew up in rural Virginia,
Uh huh.
and they go visit quite a bit. And my grandson's uncle
Uh huh.
works for a plant up there, and his dad has some equipment. So one day, I guess about 3 or 4 months ago, Oliver actually got to sit in his first excavator, and he could not have been happier.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. It's exciting.
Yeah, because I remember back in the day growing up, I'm sure he had the same thing, those big old yellow Tonka dump trucks. Yep.
Yeah.
And it,
Every year at Harvest Festival in Clayton, they have a touch a truck, meaning that the kids can go out there and they would typically have um, two or three or four different machines out there. Kids can take pictures, they can climb in and out of them. So real fun for the kids.
yep. Do you have brothers and sisters?
Yes, sir. I
Right.
do have one brother.
Younger or older?
He's older.
Okay. Well, tell me if he did this to you, because this is what I did to my little brother. We're about a year and a half apart,
Uh huh.
and he wanted to hang out too much with me. I'm like, no, we're not doing this, right? So I would put him on the dump truck and just push it and see where it went. Yeah.
No, he never did that, but there was some times where I didn't like him so much.
Yeah. Yeah. There's a lot of times my brother didn't like me till we got older is when he started liking me a little bit more. But yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
sometimes he might hit the wall, sometimes he might tip over, and I just pick him up, put him back on there, and like, here, let's
Oh
try
yeah.
this again. So,
Oh
but
yeah.
yeah, but when you drive by construction sites, though, yeah, those little kids. I remember growing up and all those machines moving. It's like, all right, and
Oh yeah.
I think those guys are paid pretty well, correct?
They are. They are. Yeah, heavy equipment operators, they are paid very well.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Because you think about it, you're placing a person on a $400,000 machine.
hmm
Yeah, you don't want a $15 an hour guy on almost a half $1 million machine.
No, there'd be a lot of people lined up for that job, even at $15 an hour, right?
Oh yeah.
Uh, or some of the folks that come to you, is it one of those that they've always been thinking about getting trained, or are they learning to shoot a gun, or do they want that conceal and carry permit?
So it's almost a two-sided coin. There are some that come and they genuinely want the training. They want to understand how to use a firearm and how to protect themselves. And then there are others that, out of I would say, somewhat of a fear, um, they want their concealed carry so that they can buy multiple guns, as many as they want, um, in the least amount of time. I would say, because the paperwork is definitely um, pushed through a lot quicker if you have your concealed carry versus the store having to, do all of your background and run all your information, and you fill out a lot of paperwork um, in order to purchase. You just give them your credentials, your ID, and answer a few questions, and you're out the door.
Are the background checks different if I walk into a store to buy a gun versus coming to one of your conceal and carry classes?
the process is still the same.
Okay. All right. In the conceal and carry, you can how do you have if I leave my house with a gun and I've got a conceal and carry permit, where am I allowed to have it in the car? Can I take it out of the car with me?
You can have it in the car, you can take it out of the car, uh, you can conceal it on yourself. There's just certain buildings and places that you cannot carry a concealed weapon. Government buildings, banks, schools,
Yep.
uh, you cannot you cannot conceal carry.
I bet you get and I in BNI, there's a number of seats where people, "Oh, that's what you do." "Hey, Eric, I got a quick question for you." You have one of those seats, don't you, once they find out
Oh
what you
yes,
do?
yes. I get questions every meeting. Yes, sir.
And just if you're out and about, they see your shirt, it's like, "Hey, quick question. What are some of the questions people ask you when they find out what you do?"
So one of the questions is, uh, so if I shoot somebody, do I have to drag them back in the house?
Oh, geez.
That is
Yep.
that is a myth that floats around and has floated around for so many years. And I share with them, there's a show called CSI,
Yeah,
Crime Scene Investigators. If you shoot them outside, their DNA is still outside,
yep.
and they're going to know about it. So
Yeah,
I do get a lot of questions like that.
and they'll see the way you drag the body through the grass, up the steps, and it was raining outside, but yet they're in the house, yeah.
You're
Oh,
exactly right, Mike.
I didn't even
You're
think
exactly
about
right.
that being a question, Eric.
Oh yeah, 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 yeah. Or I'll get the question of, so if someone pushes me or hits me, I can shoot them, right? No, you can't.
Yeah.
Uh, you have to be in fear of your life.
Do
But those
yeah.
are just a few.
Do I wonder in a situation if people say, "I gotta believe Eric, I gotta believe there's guys that another guy's pissing him off," and they state, "I have a conceal and carry permit." Would you like this conversation to go further? Right, I gotta believe guys trot that out, right?
Yeah, probably,
Oh,
probably,
jeez.
probably. Some probably have tried that. But the thing about concealed carry and throughout the training, the entire time, a really good instructor is going to be sharing with you, walk away, find a way to walk away, find a way to walk away. I mean, and we constantly repeat that because it's not so much of having it and the first person that cuts you off in traffic, you shoot their tires out. That's in the movies. Um, but a really, really good instructor, they will give you so many different scenarios on how can you walk away because you know I'm not a lawyer, I'm not an attorney, but some of the questions that will come up will be, uh, well, what did you do after they said whatever? Well, I went back to my car and I got, okay, so that shows that you had the opportunity when you went back to your car to get in your car. So, really tough questions will come out of that. And we really teach you how to just walk away unless your life is, in
Yeah.
imminent danger.
Yeah, because the whole goal is not to use it.
That's right. That is right. Yes, sir.
Do you get couples coming to classes together,
Yes. Yes. Yes.
and one has been wanting to do this, and the other one has been probably at times a little hesitant?
Yes. A little hesitant. And Mike, I must say, men, it's our nature to um, it would definitely be in your nature before you even come to my class. You're probably going to be telling your wife, "Hey, when you get in there, and I'm going to show you some stuff before you get in front of the instructor."
Yeah.
And most guys will say, "I don't want you to make us look bad."
Oh, you're
So
kidding.
yes, so typically whenever it's a couple, normally I would notice that the wife at some point during the training she'll just kind of shut down and won't say much. Because after one or two breaks, the husband typically goes and says, "Why'd you ask that
Oh,
question? We talked about this at home." And they kind of shut down, and then I've almost, um, I've pretty much lost a student in that class because of that, and it
w-
happens quite often.
which is why your women only classes are so popular.
They're so
Yeah.
popular, and they really learn, and they get to ask all of the questions that we as guys would think are just,
Yeah.
weird questions. And
Yep.
they're so comfortable in asking those questions.
My public service announcement to guys watching and listening, don't be stupid. Okay. Just let your wife or whoever you're bringing with you ask all the questions they want.
Yes,
It's like,
yes,
man,
yes,
yeah. Yeah,
yes.
I shouldn't be surprised at that.
Yeah, yeah.
Another point you brought up, um, last couple weeks, I think, is there is or going to be an ammo shortage.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It is, it's already starting to affect, it's definitely affecting me. I have noticed prices go up over the course of the last few weeks. I can check on a case of a certain item, and then 2 days later,
Mhm.
it's went up by $30 on that same case. So with the all what's going on in the world and two wars happening, there's definitely going to be a shortage. Um, in this year coming up. January, February is projected.
Wow, and no idea how long that may last, right?
No idea. No idea. I
Will
really wish I knew.
will you be able to find other vendors, or it's just gonna be tough everywhere you look to get ammo?
It's going to be tough pretty much everywhere that you look. I kind of anticipate, um, some of my vendors are mom and pop, operations. And if they have a really good base, then they'll survive. But if not, the you know you I may lose a few of my suppliers due to that. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff going on affecting a lot of things, so it didn't
yeah,
surprise me with your answer on that.
yeah.
Um, there's just so many questions on this because we've got kids involved. So now, do you teach people how to store them at their house?
Yes,
Guns.
yes, yes. I teach them how to store them at their house. Um, how to store them even in a bag or in their pocketbook. Mike, I do want to kind of mention this one thing since you brought that up. Um, there are more accidental shootings with firearms being just loosely in a pocketbook. And one of the reasons, Mike, is something as simple as a tube of lipstick or ink pen, or even a peppermint. A round peppermint is about the right size to fit right in between the trigger and the trigger guard, um,
Oh,
causing and it could potentially cause accidental discharge. Um, so I do educate on proper storage, proper storage, proper storage, because no one wants to be sitting in a restaurant and someone's digging through their purse
yeah.
and a firearm goes off. So training and proper storage, yes.
In a women's in a woman's purse, is that if they have a conceal and carry uh, license and they've got a gun in their purse, is there a special storage place for that?
Yes, sir. So they actually make concealed carry bags now to
Oh,
where, it looks just like a regular purse, but in the back side, there's actually a holster built in. And, those sell really, really good. I don't market those, but they sell really good.
it,
And I have a
yeah.
few places that I share during my training on where they can get those from, but I don't market them myself.
It makes perfect sense.
It really makes perfect sense.
Wait,
Yeah.
so a female with a conceal and carry weapon is probably going to be in her purse,
In most cases,
right?
yes.
What about with guys?
Um, Waistband. And same thing for guys. Guys say, "Well, I got my little pocket pistol and I'll stick it in my pocket." Well,
Ooh,
you also got your keys in
yeah.
there. If you got any change in your pocket, something about the size of a nickel can still, you know, have an accidental discharge. So,
Man.
there's a lot of pocket holsters as well. It's called a
Okay.
sticky holster, and it actually stays in your pocket if you have to pull your firearm out.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. Does it if I'm looking at you, if you've got that in your pocket, could I tell that?
No.
Oh, wow. Okay. Good to know. Your wife is Daphne, and she is also a conceal and carry owner.
Yes. Yes.
All right.
And she it took me a while to really get her up to speed. She went and got her concealed carry, and each time I would ask, I say, "Hey, you got your gun with you?" "Oh no, I left it at the house." I'm
Mhm.
like, "Okay, well, why did you get that?" So, but now, out of, whenever she travels or what have you, she typically keeps it on her now.
I would imagine that's probably common for a lot of new concealed carry owners. Is I've got
Yes.
it. I'm just not ready to carry the gun out of the house with me yet.
Yes, yes. Yeah.
Yeah, because
And
that.
then for some, it's almost like a cell phone. Oh wow, where's my
Yep.
phone? I, or where's my gun?
Yeah,
Yeah,
because that's a big deal taking it out of the house for the first time.
yeah, yeah. And to be honest with you, I've heard more people say it looks like everyone's staring at me the first time
Wow.
they take it out. Is because it's something that they're just not used to having
Yeah.
on them, and it just seems like everyone is staring at them.
Interesting.
Yeah,
Hadn't thought about it, but I get that. Yeah.
yeah,
And
yeah, yeah,
you're the only one that knows it. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So one of my favorite questions to ask people on the show when they are married.
Uh-huh.
So tell me, how did you and Daphne meet, and do you both tell the story the same way?
No, we never tell the story the same way,
Good.
but
Now,
my side of it is the right way.
well, let's hear your side of it.
So, I left Johnston County, in the well, whenever I was in ninth grade. I moved to Raleigh, and, I went to Athens Drive. So, I met her at Athens Drive, and I was a really, really cool kid. And I was very popular. And this is my version. Everyone wanted to know me. Everybody wanted to hang out with me, of course. And I saw her, and I was trying to talk to her, and she wasn't really trying to have it. So I kept it moving. And later on, I happened to work for this company, and I was actually working at the Lowe's, actually doing some work at the Lowe's in Cary, and I saw her, and it just sparked again, and and I asked, I said, "Hey, you want to hang out?" And we were just hanging out. It really wasn't any dating or anything like that. We were just hanging out, and and it kind of started there, and a few months later, I asked her to marry me after about 6 months of hanging out.
Wow. Right.
Yeah, yeah.
So where was the first official date?
So the first official date was we went to it was a restaurant, just a regular restaurant, and nothing fancy. Um, and we were just hanging out, you know. Um, I do remember my very first kiss. It was at the Food Lion. It was in the parking lot of a Food Lion. I was going to get a loaf of bread out of the store, and I looked there. I said, "Can I kiss you?" And I know it sounded dorky,
Mhm.
but 30 years ago, hey, it worked.
And how old were you when you asked her that question?
I was 23.
All right.
I was
Did she
23.
hesitate at all on the answer?
No, she did not hesitate. She did not hesitate.
I
And it was a peck. It was just a quick peck.
Yeah.
I didn't try to,
Uh,
go all in. I was a gentleman. I was
and
a gentleman.
that was in your car.
Yes,
And
yes.
let me guess, you strutted all the way into the store and through it, didn't you?
Oh my God, man. I was 150 pounds wet, but I felt like a giant.
Oh, that's too good. So now I want to know how she tells the story.
Oh man. She says that I was not the popular kid. She really didn't even like me. And
But you stand out because you're taller than most.
yes,
Was it
yes,
that way in
yes.
high school?
Yes,
Okay.
yes,
Right.
was.
So walking down the hall, you're easily noticeable because you're about a head taller than most everybody
That's
else
right. That's right.
and cooler than everyone else,
And cooler
as
than
you say.
everyone.
Yeah. Did
Yes,
you
sir.
do a lot of extracurricular activities at Athens Drive?
Um, no, I was actually I worked a lot. Um, before I graduated, I was on a like a work program. Um, in my 11th grade year, I didn't have a lot of classes that I had to take, and I left school early each day, and I actually had a job. So in my 12th grade year, as a senior, I only had two classes to take, and I was the manager of a pizza inn on Lake Boone Trail.
Oh.
So yeah, I was a assistant store manager in my 12th grade year.
Okay, that explains why a lot of the other kids thought you were the coolest guy in school because you were assistant manager of a place they could go get. Hey, can you slide me a free pizza, Eric? Right? It's like, no, dude, you don't talk to me in the hallways. I am not giving
Yeah.
you a free pizza.
Yeah, yeah,
Oh man, that's pretty good. But it's funny who had to work their way through high school and who didn't.
yeah. You're
Usually, the
exactly
people
right.
that did were working from the time like we were all in seventh grade, cutting grass, dragging
That's
the
it, man.
lawnmower up and down the streets in the neighborhood, knocking on doors. Hey, for $8, can I cut your grass? Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah.
yeah. I
Uh,
remember those days.
oh yeah, yeah. And then you went on to Johnston Community College.
Yeah, I did some courses over at Johnson Community, um, and I actually um, tried to dabble in real estate for a little while. And I went to Johnson Community, did that, and I said, well, the things that you guys are teaching me, I can just do myself. That was right around the time, well, not all of it, but that was right around the time, about 2010 or 2011. My wife and I, we really started getting into flipping homes. And
Oh,
so that's whenever property was cheap back then.
mm-hmm.
And we bought a few properties, and um, we started doing rehabs, and she wanted to rehab more than what I did. I kept telling her, honey, we're going to sell this. We're not moving into this house. She wanted to upgrade everything. So um, that was one of the reasons why I started getting into the real estate course at JCC.
There's that moment where because my brother and sister-in-law flip houses too, and there's that moment where you have to go in knowing we're not keeping this. And
Yes.
you have to know that every day we're not keeping this.
And lo and behold, there were quite a few to where um, we started doing some hold and rents. So
Ah.
we actually held quite a few and rented them out.
What did you like best about that flipping process?
The money.
There you go.
It was
Right.
it was I call it fast money. You spend money,
Mhm.
but it was fast money. It was a pretty quick return. It
Yeah.
was a pretty quick return.
Do you guys still do that?
Uh,
Okay. The prices?
yes, the price
Yeah.
can't afford anything out there now.
Yeah, because now you're buying a $300,000 house to flip.
Yeah, yeah,
That
yeah.
number does not go through your brain easily, does
It does
it?
not. It does not.
You guys just got back from a nice trip to Mexico.
Yes, loved it. If I could move there, I would.
That first time you've been to Mexico?
No, that's probably the 4th or 5th time. Yeah.
What was best about that trip other than you were away from the world for a week?
Well, uh, spending time with friends and family, that was the best. Um, and actually, another gentleman in BNI, Johnny Beasley, he was with us, and that was their first time being there. Um, it was great spending time with friends and family and relaxing, and just getting out of the norm of your everyday life, and you know I didn't have to have my phone on. I could get up and go to bed whenever I felt like it. It was very relaxing, very relaxing.
Now, traveling on any plane, much less international, I believe I'm smart enough to say I know you would never try to take a gun on a plane. But why do
No.
we hear a story once a month where some idiot guy gets to the checkpoint and he's got a gun on him? I mean, how do you forget that, Eric?
So I like I mentioned earlier, for most of us that actually that carry every day, it's like it's like it's just built into you, just like grabbing your cell phone.
Wow.
And I honestly believe that most of those, I would say 90% of those, they got up, they put their belt on, put their wallet in their pocket, put their gun on their hip, and just left home. Uh, because it is such a repetitive motion or repetitive activity that you just always have it on you.
All right. Well, I'll retract my idiot statement then. I just assumed that you would know I'm going to an airport. I can't take my gun, but I guess if you always have it,
Yeah,
are they
yeah.
arrested right there?
They're detained.
Okay.
Yeah, they're detained, and of course they're going to have to pay some type of fine.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
it can be up to $10,000.
Wow. I would imagine if you truly, what if that truly is part of your habit each day, you feel real bad when they discover you got a gun in your
Yes,
bag or on you.
yes, yeah, yeah,
10,000.
yeah.
Well, got to get people's attention, right?
Got to get people's attention.
And $500 probably just won't do it.
No, they'll
Wow.
throw that away.
All right. So if somebody is thinking about getting their conceal and carry license, what do they need to think about before they come see you or another trainer?
So they need to think about uh, what they want to get out of that training and seek to get that out of the training. Uh, Write down questions that you want to know when you get to that training. Uh, Find a reputable trainer, not a fly by night. Hey, I'm just doing it, and you don't want to. You want to make sure you're getting a really good trainer. Ask your friends, ask your coworkers, ask your family, and also even if you don't already have in mind what type of gun that you want, uh, still get the training. Uh, Even for my training, I don't allow any firearms or live ammunition inside of my classroom, except for what I bring. I don't require any students to bring anything. I provide the firearm and the ammunition, and I do that all for safety reasons. New owners, new guns, they just don't mix,
Yeah.
and they're trying to do weird stuff behind the firing line that I may be unaware of, and don't want to have an accident.
If someone doesn't know a trainer, none of their friends have done this, but they've been wanting to do this, and they go searching on the internet for somebody, what what do they need to see on their website that goes back to your point of that they are legitimate and certified?
Uh, NRA,
Okay, because you
yeah,
are you're a certified NRA instructor.
yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So that
And
tells
that
them that,
NRA is very accredited. Yes, sir.
okay. Can you put on conceal and carry classes without being a certified NRA instructor?
Um, I don't know the legal side of that.
Uh,
I just don't know.
okay. But
But
that's
for the state of North Carolina, you must be NRA certified.
excellent. That's a good bit of wisdom for everybody as you move forward. Make sure you find that when you do that. We've
Yes,
been
sir.
putting Eric's phone number up on the screen here. Other than the phone number, Eric, how else can they get in touch with you?
They can reach me on social media, Patriot Supplies LLC on Facebook.
Right. And
Yes, sir.
folks, Eric's brought it up a couple of times, talking to an expert. Sometimes we need to take it out of our hands and go to somebody who has been trained, can answer the question correctly.
Yeah.
So you won't ask somebody one day, can I drag the body in the house? Oh man. But yeah, if you have any questions, please give Eric a call. He'll help you answer any questions and kind of try to help you figure out what the next steps are, but go to a professional like Eric who is trained. So Eric, enjoyed having you on the show today. Thanks for all the
Yes,
knowledge.
sir.
It's the first time we've talked about this. And
Yes,
again, I
sir.
did not want to make it political, not taking a stand on anything.
Right.
People are going to do what they want to do, but you got to have the right information, don't you?
That's right. Yes, sir.
All right. So good luck. You got a few more classes scheduled towards the end of the
Yes,
year?
sir. Matter of fact, I have one scheduled this coming Saturday at 8 a.m. in Selma, North Carolina.
Okay.
And you can reach out to me at 919-669-8845 if you need any more information.
Okay. Folks, go learn. If you're going to do it, go learn it so you'll know how to handle it, how to carry it, and when not to ask questions about, can I use it here? So, Eric, again, appreciate the time. Thanks for all the knowledge, and we'll
Yes,
see
sir.
everybody next time on Triangle BNI.
Yes, sir.
You are tuned to the Nissan Communications Network. If you tuned in too late, you can always watch each program in its entirety or download an MP3 audio file of it in the archives section at nissancommunications.com. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow us on Twitter, and like us on Facebook. Sponsored by StreamingGear.com and DeltaForce.net.